Unequally gendered space by Dr. N Jayakumar, Assistant Professor, Periyar University. I now call on Sai Shri to give a brief introduction about our resource person, Dr. N Jayakumar. Sai Shri, over to you.
Thank you, Tejal. Honorable Chief Guest Dr. Jayakumar Sir, Nityanandan Sir, and all the other faculty members of Periyar University, also our dear students. A very warm good morning to one and all. It's my privilege to welcome you all to this webinar session on the topic Mental Health in an Unequally Gendered Space, which is conducted in observance of World Mental Health Day celebration, Esperanza 2021. So let me now give a brief introduction about our resource person, Dr. Jayakumar Sir. He is currently working as an assistant professor in Periyar University Salem. He completed his MPhil from PSC College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, and PhD from Periyar University Salem. He has worked as a clinical psychologist in Varikati Mental Health Center and Research Institute, Coimbatore. Has worked as a lecturer in Bharatiya University, PSP College of Arts and Science, and Christ University, Bangalore. His areas of specialization includes social psychology, organizational behavior, training and development, HR, and industrial psychology. He has done about 22 paper publications. It's an honor to have such a knowledgeable and experienced resource person, and I welcome you, sir. I also welcome all the participants who have joined with us today to attend this webinar session and hope that you all will have a great time ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Sai. I now greet our Honorable Resource Person, Dr. N Jayakumar, to give his keynote speech on the topic Mental Health in an Unequally Gendered Space. Sir, over to you.
So thank you so much. So am I audible?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So before beginning my session, I would like to thank Dr. Nityanandan for taking all the pain to organize this, because from the beginning, mental health means all the events that are organized related to mental health was actually chaired and actually led in the front by Dr. Nityanandan. And as he was actually saying a couple of weeks back, it was actually a little doubtful whether we will be going ahead with this program or not, because of all the limitations that was brought by this pandemic. But somehow actually things fell in place, and I'm happy that he is organizing this and with this enthusiastic student participants. Okay. And as usual, at the outset, I would like to thank all the organizers, all the people who have actually put in their thought and effort to make this event going. Yeah, so the topic of my presentation is something interesting, which most of us will be able to connect to. Okay. And it actually falls in the area of gender and feminine perspectives. Okay. So can I actually start with the PPT presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. So the word, very interestingly, when I was actually checking the theme of the mental health, World Mental Health this year, it was saying that it is an unequal world. What is an unequal world? Is it an unequal world? Are we living in an unequal world or an unequal world? So I'm leaving it for you people to think it over. Yeah. So can I see the slides, people?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
So usually actually what I think is that I will actually start and I require some of you to participate also. Okay. And if you are actually confident enough, or actually you are comfortable enough, then you can actually always respond to my questions. Okay. All right. So the topic is simple, that mental health in an unequally gendered space. So these are actually heavily loaded, what is it, words like mental health. You know that what is mental health? The physical, psychological well-being is generally understood, but it is actually has various other dimensions also. Okay, when it comes to psychology, mental health. So it talks about our emotions, it talks about our behavior. Okay, so all those things are actually taken care of. And gender is actually a contested topic. What is actually gender, and who decides what, and what is the role of the gender in the society, and how we actually what does it go according to the scripts of the gender, okay, whatever that we are born with, okay, and what is the difference between sex and gender, and what is the space that we operate in, the what is it decided by the gender. Okay, so and is that actually gender space which was created, is it equal? Is it equal? Is there any ups and downs? Okay, is it actually skewed, or whatever it is that we will be knowing, and many of us are actually experiencing that. Right. So simply put together, it was actually earlier it was actually considered to be what is it? Simple well-being. Okay. So earlier, if you see mental health, and Dr. Nityanandan sir will be more aware of this, because over the years he is taking forward this mental health programs. So how actually over the years the definition of mental health has changed. Earlier, it was just a cognitive, behavioral, and emotional well-being, and now it has actually changed into something very interesting. Mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities. Okay, so they actually wanted to unpack it rather than actually saying that, okay, cognitive, behavioral, and emotional well-being. They said, actually, what is it? Okay, so they have actually got down into the nuts and bolts of it. They actually tried to dismember it and say that, okay, rather than actually saying those things, I'm simply putting it across like individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively, okay, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. See, these are actually the four important, what is it, parameters, so that we say that uh, um, somebody is actually mentally healthy. So that way, what happens is here we have to see these things in perspective. So I'm going to just to take you across. Okay. Yes, with this background, I'll just actually project a picture. I want actually a couple of responses from you. What do you see there in the picture? There are actually four images that I have actually projected. What do you see in that?
Eiffel Tower.
Okay, good. No need to name it. You can actually just try to describe it or explain it, or just to describe what is that you are seeing. One is Eiffel Tower. We know the name of it. I'm not actually exactly asking, what do you see that? No correct answer here. Any response is fine, will do. Can you describe it? What is that you are seeing on the screen?
I
It's
think in
something
the
like
third,
Something?
I think in the third picture, he's trying to move the bottle with the side power, and bottle is not moving, and the TV and the chairs are moving, and
Okay.
he doesn't even know that it's other things are moving, and he's just concentrated on the bottle.
Okay. Any other
So he's
response?
trying to balance it with the
Yes.
bottle. He's
It's trying to
balancing
balance.
everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he is actually a balancer, right? He's
Yes.
actually
Yeah.
trying to balance the things, okay, in its okay position. And other pictures,
Even the bottles are balanced with the small things beneath
right?
it.
Okay. And to the left,
so actually all the pictures are about arranging in a balanced
right,
order.
right. Okay. So now enough. We have actually more slides to finish it. Good. Thank you. Now I'm asking, what is that? This is the next slide, people. By the way, what you don't see here.
Support to balance is
Support to
not there.
balance. Okay. Are you able to see something inside, which is actually common to all? Without that, this thing is not going to happen. There is a common thread in it. பொதுவாக ஒன்று இருக்கு அதுக்குள்ள எல்லா 4 பிக்சர்லையும் பொதுவாக ஒன்று இருக்கு, ஒரு விஷயம் இருக்கு. There is something.
Unequality.
என்னப்பா? What is that?
Unequality.
Okay, unequality. Okay. I'm actually expecting something which will be more apt. Correct. Can you think of any response, people? This is how it is. Actually, it is so camouflaged in it. And without that, this is not possible. Whatever that you are seeing, as Niti sir was actually telling in the beginning, that technology has made this possible. We have to be thankful to the technology. Similarly, what happens is here, something is there. Yeah.
So you're talking about gravitational force?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So without gravity, is it possible? All these pictures possible?
No, sir.
Nothing is possible. But actually, it takes like a lot of time to think, right? We actually just go only to a certain extent and say that, okay, it's balancing. It's an act of balancing, or actually arranging things in such a way so that actually it is all stands out, right? But it takes little time for us to think, and you have to step back and think. The same thing is actually with the mental health also, in the gendered space also. That actually I will try to explain as we progress towards further slides, okay? All right. So whoever has actually said that, good. Right. So now, priority time spent. So how does boys and girls, how does men and women spend their time? Can anyone say that? Okay, so where actually men and boys will put in lot their time, and where women and actually girls will put in their time? Maybe you can just rank it. First, more will be somewhere, someplace.
So can I?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think most of the time will be spent for social and
Okay.
recreation nowadays.
Okay, so which people?
For both. For both, I think
For
so.
both. Okay, you think.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Any other opinion, alternative views? Do you think that both will actually spend a similar amount of time in the same way? Or will there be any differences?
Yes, of course there will be a differences because boys are more like they mostly point out for games, social media, and for
Right.
girls they will go for social media, but I think games are not that much for them.
Right. Okay. So what happens is there is actually differences. The way that they will be comfortable in certain aspects, certain space, and boys will be comfortable in certain space. Okay. But they will be spending time on both. But actually, the what is it? The weightage or actually the amount of time spent will be different. Right? Do you all agree to that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now let us actually say, if you are actually earning, a man is earning, a woman is earning. So how their spending pattern will be? What are the priority areas for men and what are the priority areas for women? Will that be same? How many of you have actually thinking that there will be differences? Who has actually more financial freedom here?
Men. Of course, men.
Of course, that's good. That awareness is good. And have you ever heard somebody, your own relatives or friends, elder sisters, or actually cousins, saying that I have to check with my husband, I have to check with my father before actually investing or before spending or before buying? Have you heard about people saying something like that? Women saying
Of
their
Yes,
own
course.
sir.
Yes, sir.
their own earned money? No. Have you ever come across men actually checking that, okay, I have to check with my wife, I have to check with my mother before actually spending or actually something? Have you ever heard about that?
No.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Yes, but actually it will be very rare, right?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
So how money is spent, okay? Right. And there is actually what is it? This actually shows that even though they generate income, but actually the control over the money that is generated is what is it? Very different. Okay, so even they generate money, men have 100% control over their money almost, and women actually, even if they generate money by going to work, they don't have equal amount of what is the control over the money that is generated by their own ability or effort. Do you agree to that?
Yes, sir. To some extent, it is
To
true.
some extent, to some extent, good. But there will be definite differences. There will be definitely certain differences, right? Men have more power over the way it is generated, the way it is spent, right? Yeah. So now, I just want to, what comes to your mind? Okay, I have an option here. Okay, so if I say that, what comes to your mind? If I say that, okay, leadership abilities. Okay, so men or women, you just have to say this: leadership abilities.
Actually, it's both, sir.
It's both.
Both
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Let it be. Warmth,
Women.
strong personality,
women,
Woman.
gentle.
Women.
man,
Men, sir.
Yeah. Gentle men. Okay. Act as a leader,
Both.
Men.
affectionate,
woman,
Woman.
Women.
Woman.
dominant,
Men.
Men.
Men, sir.
Men.
Men, sir.
men,
Of course, men.
sympathetic.
Women.
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 woman,
Okay. Defense.
Men, sir.
men,
Men.
Men.
Okay. Defense own beliefs. Okay. Men. Okay. Sensitive.
woman,
Women.
Woman, sir.
Women.
Okay. Makes decisions easily.
Men.
Men.
Men,
men,
sir.
Okay. Tender.
Women.
woman,
Women.
Okay. So I'm actually coming again. Leadership abilities.
Men, sir.
Both.
Both.
both,
Okay. Warmth.
Both.
Women.
Woman, sir.
Strong personality.
Women.
both,
Both.
Woman, sir.
Okay. Gentle.
Men.
Men, sir.
Okay. Act as a leader.
Men.
Men.
Okay. Affectionate.
Women.
Okay. Dominant.
Men.
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 Okay. Sympathetic.
Women.
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 Okay. Sensitive.
Women.
Okay. Makes decisions easily.
Men.
Women.
Okay. Tender.
Women.
Wonderful. Okay. But very interestingly, what happens is all the 12 characteristics, both of them can have. Okay. It is actually not leased out to certain characteristics or leased out to certain gender. No. So what happens is it makes us to think that, okay, certain characteristics are actually supposed to be going well with certain gender, certain, people, all right? Certain gender people. Okay, so that is what actually we have constructed something like that. That's what I could. There is no unison of opinion among the participants. I think that most of the participants are women, and actually, male representation is very less, I think. Okay, here in the group. So what I'm actually saying is here, these are the 12 items. Okay, some roles. Both men and can have equally. There is actually no hard and fast rule that only men has to have or actually women has to have. The question that I asked itself is misleading. Okay, the question that I asked itself is misleading, and you people have actually fallen trap to that. It's not like that. Women can be having all these 12, and men also can be having all these 12. But we have actually have a stereotype of ideas that men have to be like this, women have to be like this. That is what gender differences is all about. Okay, right. Now coming back to the definition that we saw in the beginning of the slide. Okay, particularly the second part of this, the latest explanation of mental health. Mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own potential. I want you to take a re-look at it, as we have actually seen the first slide of the gravity and the second slide of the gravity, right? Are you able to understand, follow me? Because I'm not able to see you people.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the first slide, we actually saw something, but actually when we start thinking, we saw something which is not obviously represented there, but that is very, very, very crucial, very critical. The gravity is one thing which we didn't see in the first one, but we saw it in the second slide, right? But obviously it is not, easily seen, the gravity. Similarly, I'm asking a question now. Individual realizes his or her own abilities. Are men and women, okay, allowed to realize their own abilities, realize his or her own abilities? Is there actually any gender differences here?
No, sir.
Of course, there is a
Yeah, yesterday, if you see that yesterday we had one special lecture, right? And one girl actually put it across that I wanted to study, but my parents won't allow. Did we hear that in the class?
Yes, sir.
In the yesterday's program?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It is only one of the representation of the thoughts that they had. Many of the girls would have had, but it is one of the representation of that thought, right? So individual realizes his or her own abilities, provided you are in an advantageous position if you are a man or a boy, but you are actually slightly, okay, behind the boys or male, depending upon where you are, which kind of family you are coming from, which kind of city that you are actually coming from, which kind of culture that you are coming from. When it comes to Indian culture, you see there is a huge, gap between what is actually the maleness and the femaleness. Okay, the ability to opportunities for the boys and girls can cope with the normal stresses of life. Is there actually any gender differences? Will there be any gender differences? Normal stresses, how they cope, how boys cope, how girls cope, will there be any difference?
Maybe, but not completely different from each other, I think. Maybe the way boys express their things and girls express their things may differ, but coping up with won't be that much of difference, I think, personally.
Right. So what happens is there is a difference. Okay, men actually cope differently, women actually cope differently, right? And can work productively. Can actually, men and women be treated equally at the workplace? Are they given enough opportunities, equal pay? Do you actually think opportunities are same for boys and girls?
I think it's a no.
Big no. Okay, if you see our community, how it is actually has turned out to be, there is a big no. Okay, that is the reason. And it is not only our country, across the globe. That is one of the reasons why they said that it is an unequal world. It is not an unequal world. Unequal world is something to do with quantification. If you do something with quantity, then it is inequality. But when you actually talk about quality, it is unequality. Are you getting the differences, people?
Yes, sir.
Okay, unequal means actually quality wise we are comparing. One quality is better than another quality. So gender is a quality. So it is actually one quality is superior and another quality is inferior. That is what it says, right? So is able to make a contribution to his or her community. So what kind of limitations men have, what kind of limitations women have? So all of them are actually, can we say that both of them are actually equal to contribute to their community? Men can actually freely go and contribute money, spend time in the society or community without asking anybody at home. Even in the middle of the night, they can go and contribute. But actually, can women do something like that? Go and participate in activities?
No, sir.
So what happens is, this is what unequal world is. Even in mental health, the definition itself has different opportunities and challenges for both boys and girls, for men and women. Right? Men are actually more, well off compared to women, okay, or girls. They are actually better off, okay. And why this? See, these are actually some of the traditional pictures which I picked up from the net. Have you seen these kind of pictures, posters for the movies also, present day movies also, traditional movies?
Yes, sir.
The hero and the heroine.
Yes, sir.
What does it say, this picture? Does it
The
say?
hero is always sitting and the woman is standing by.
Yeah. So women is always a standby for women. Huh? Can you understand that way?
Some kind.
Some of the time, yeah. But actually, the privilege that men enjoy, women don't. And women are, have actually a serious limitations when it comes to, showing their authority or actually power in the society. Only a society which is actually evolved society, civilized society, gender-wise civilized society will treat men and women equally, and that is actually something which is still yet to come. But actually, some societies are actually much more modern and liberal and forward societies, but not many societies are like that. Okay, yes. So why gender here? And mental health, we have seen. Gender is actually a very critical factor. It is a deciding factor whether you will be mentally healthy or not. Being born as a man or a boy or a girl, that will itself will actually say that how healthy you will be. Okay. So one thing is that it is a critical determinant of mental health. Gender is actually, according to WHO, it says that it is a critical determinant of mental health. It determines differential power and control over the socio-economic aspects of life. Our life revolves around dealing with the society and with the economics, the access to things and the society. These are the two aspects. Our psychology is dependent on the socio and economical aspects of the individual. And it is associated with the social position, status, and treatment in society. All these things actually have a gender, and the gender inequality or gender unequality, whatever way that you wanted to understand, whichever way, that it is like a gravity which you cannot see easily. Okay, you have to think, okay, for each and the social position, the status, and the treatment, men always have the privilege, better privilege than women. Right? Do you see that? Some of us actually very good, because in a much more advanced societies, it is still fine. But majority of the people out there, they suffer. And among our own participants, there will be actually few participants who are coming from gender-wise unbiased family. Boys are actually, if you are actually having 3 boys, or actually 2 boys, or actually 1 boy, or 4 girls, or 3 girls, or 2 girls. Okay, so it is actually, there is some need to you have to actually go for gender neutrality. Okay, so what happens is I actually came across one of the thing that this man actually it is there in the web, that he actually having families. Okay, so he went on actually giving birth to children. 17th or 18th child was a boy. Till he got a boy, he was actually constantly trying his best, his luck. Finally, at the 17th or 18th child was actually a boy. Till then, he was actually trying. Have you ever seen people or family members who are actually saying that, okay, wanting to have a boy, to start a family, to have a boy, and for that actually, till they actually have the boy, they continuously try, giving birth to children. Have you ever seen that? Heard that?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have heard.
Many of our own family members, you would have seen, our own close relatives, you can see that. Okay, so till we actually have a boy, that we will actually have, we will continue producing the children. What does it say? because there is actually the society out there feels safe, the family out there feels safe when there is actually a boy, a male, right? Not many, but actually almost, right? So it is actually, we might be actually limiting ourselves, but it is not like that, okay? So that actually shows the gender, what is the unbalanced view, okay? Right. So now what happens is this thing, okay, of gender differences, that preference to certain gender and not preference to a certain gender actually creates a pivot, creates actually two group of people, two, what is a set of people, both are human beings, but actually one set, what is it, superseding, and another set actually getting, what is it, suppressed. And one set of people, actually one half of the people trying to actually serve the other half of people who are dominant. Have you seen that decisions are actually made by men? Actually, family is run by men. Men are everywhere. And you would have actually shocking to see the news that during pandemic, many families actually consumed poison or actually hung themselves and killed the entire family. Have you ever seen that? Heard that news?
Yes, sir.
Small
Yes, sir.
children and all, they will kill and actually they will die. And very interestingly, the reason is the man of the house has made a loss. The man of the house had made actually financially, he made a big debt that they cannot repay. So the entire family commits suicide. Have you heard about that? Men actually get into loss and the entire family is committing suicide.
Yes, sir.
Why?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Because they
It's
think that it's a man's
The
responsibility
only
and
financial.
only he can run the family.
yeah,
If he faced the loss, then everyone should be starving.
right. So here, very interestingly, what happens is that the entire family revolves around that man. And if he actually makes a blunder and it affects everybody. And very interestingly, I will show you a slide that I was actually literally very disturbed to see a woman who killed her two young daughters and she committed suicide. She was depressed because last 1 year she was actually a widow. That 1 year back to Corona, that she lost her husband and she was not able to fend for herself. So she committed suicide. And she committed suicide and she killed her daughters and this committed suicide. It was really heart wrenching because this society does not allow a woman, okay, to survive without the support of a man. That is what the fact is. Some of us are privileged. We are not actually belonging to that sort of community or that sort of family. So what happens is here you see WHO says all these things are from WHO website. Depression, anxiety, somatic complaints, psychological distress, post-traumatic stress disorder. These are actually the 5 most prevalent, mental health problems for women. I'm not saying here that men don't actually experience this, but women's percentage of this health issues, mental health issues, far outweighs the experiences of men. Right? So why do they actually get into this kind of a thing? Depression, anxiety, somatic complaints, psychological distress, post-traumatic stress disorder, and all those things. These are all actually internalizing disorders. It is all actually their own thoughts, their own ruminations. They keep on working on that and they actually do this. The sense of, because they experience a sense of loss, they feel that they are inferior, they feel that they are humiliated, they feel that they are lonely, and they are actually cannot go and they are withdrawn. And it is all because of the social structures. This is actually much more, okay, critical, okay, factors which actually pushes them to this thing. And why this kind of feelings actually comes into them. They are experiencing because of these are the problems to the right. They are vulnerable for sexual violence. They are vulnerable for domestic violence. They have to take up multiple roles unlike men. and they are always actually treated secondary to men when it comes to nourishment. Malnutrition they suffer. Have you ever seen people, you would have actually seen in the news and other things and all that, in many of the families, that boys will be given preference in their, the diet, the food, and remaining only women have to have. Husband have to be served, and remaining wives will actually have. Have you heard about it? This kind of very interesting things.
Yes, I have heard, but I have not.
First, they will serve to the man of the house.
Yes.
Right? So men will all actually go, they will actually want, when it comes to helping the households, they won't even move a finger. I have my own experiences, that my own grandmother, how she was actually treating her husband, my grandfather, and I heard about it, and how things have changed with my father and my mother, and how actually things have changed with my own family. But I'm saying that still in some of the families, you see that men are always given the lion's share of whatever that is. Women are always actually the secondary, whatever it is, they are left over. So first men have to go. What does it say? It actually says that it is very good, it is tradition, it is actually nice, it is this is how our tradition is, this is how we have to be. So, but it actually says that the gravity is very simple. Male are actually above and female are below. That is very simple. Subtly, beautifully it is said. And very interestingly, WHO actually says that men have a different set of mental health issues. That is, they have a problem with alcohol, they have a problem with aggression control, impulsive control. They are actually very coercive, and they are having problem with non-compliance of rule of the law, rule of the land. So these are all externalizing disorders. Men have all the problems, which is actually that they will actually go on to create problem in the society. But women have actually all the problems that they will actually take it on to themselves, and it leads to self-destruction. Clear? So now, how does this actually come? So we know that both the genders are not equal. That is the ideal space that we are thinking about, or actually any evolved species, any evolved mind, like our Periyar. He was thinking that there should not be any discrimination based on gender or caste. Both men and women should be kept equal. We should actually be treated equal. By birth, you should not take any privilege. Right? Since you are born as a boy, since I am actually born as a girl, or actually the other way around, nobody should actually take credit by birth. But very interestingly, what happens is, it is not like that. The gender discrimination is in our scripts. It starts and given by whoever. We don't know whoever. Some of us know who gave, some of us may not know, but we blindly follow that. The scripts are actually like a manual. We buy actually some products and actually they give a manual. Have you ever seen a manual? How to operate the mobile phone? If you bought a new mobile phone, they will actually have a manual, user guide. Have you seen that?
Yes, sir.
Right? And it will go according to that manual only, user guide only, right? It will work according to that only. It will not work beyond that. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So that is called as SOPs, Standard Operating Procedures. What is it called as?
Standard operating procedures.
So this standard operating procedures, it is not only given for actually the gadgets that we buy. It is not only for the gadgets that we buy. It is for us also. When we are born, the SOPs are given to us, to our family members. You are born as a boy, immediately SOP is actually like given. When you are born as a girl, the SOP is given to the parents. Have you ever seen that? People actually getting upset when there is actually a boy or a girl. Have you ever heard about it? These are actually like a gravity things. But we think that, okay, it is not existing. We are blind to it. Have you ever heard that, okay, so somebody is actually not happy that they actually gave birth to somebody who is actually the other way around? In my own family, I have actually seen my own sister's family, they were expecting a boy, but actually she was actually born. And my brother-in-law was actually little upset. Because he was actually dreaming of having a boy. Okay, but very interestingly, it is because of so many reasons. But it was actually like, it happened the other way, he was upset. And I have seen these kind of stories everywhere. Maybe we are actually so aloof, or actually we are so not involved, but it is there. Okay. And what happens is that these scripts, which was actually generated by people, okay, is given indirectly like a gravity to pass down to one generation to another generation. Okay. The script one is the childhood. You just actually think about how you people played, how actually boys played, how girls played. Was there any gender differences in that people?
Yes, sir, of course there is a gender differences.
Yeah. So what does it say? What is you? It is actually setting you for a certain role, right? How does actually the play helps in actually what is it, crystallizing the gender roles? What does actually play say? It's like the gravity that we have to actually sit and think.
Um,
Some quick responses here.
Probably normalize something for boys and something for girls, or only girls are supposed to play this game, only boys are supposed to play cricket, football, or something very active games like that. It is always
Yeah.
said like that, sir.
Yes, and certain things are actually not meant for certain gender, right? So what
Yes, sir.
happens is that they are actually setting the boy and the girl in certain set of expectations. Okay, so you go this way, it's a pivot. Okay, so it is actually, we are boy, okay, you go this way, and you are a girl, means you go this way. So they are actually trying to build on it, and there is no harm in it. There is no harm in it. But what happens is, in the process of doing, one actually thinks that because of the privilege of birth, they are actually better compared to others. That is actually the problem, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
Bhargava says that Pirappal Veru Talvu Kodadadi Papa. That means actually by birth, there should not be actually superiority or inferiority by birth. That's what he said. Right. So what happens is, when it is actually there, it's no harm in actually you are going on this role set of roles. You are going on this set of roles, because not all the roles can be equally actually taken care by both the people, right? A man cannot actually, as of now, a man cannot actually give birth to a child and actually breastfeed a child. Only women has to do that, right? So that way, what happens is here that it actually in the process of actually doing all these things, then slowly what happens is, by birth they are like this, they are going, and for men it goes up and for women it goes down. That is where the problem and comparison comes in. And actually then if you compare and see that, okay, they are superior and these people are inferior, are able to understand how this actually takes. But they wanted to try break this. I appreciate, like of late there are lots of feminists, there are lots of people who are actually saying that, okay, bringing in lots of changes in the way that things are, like, stereotypes are broken. That is why actually they said, no, what is it, fair and lovely and fair and handsome and all those things came, right? So they changed the name. You know that?
Yes, parents.
Yeah. So when it comes to cosmetics, and if you see that even the Cadbury's latest advertisement, the sing fellow will actually start dancing for his girlfriend who's actually playing the cricket,
Yes.
breaking the gender stereotypes. And some of the movies that you see that, okay, women are actually made to sit on the big, ancestral chair, and actually they put their leg on their leg, and a man standing behind, but is actually the dominant woman. You would have seen that, right? So they wanted to actually, what happens is they are trying to change this. They are trying to bring in, so what they are actually trying to do is, let us actually correct themselves. We have gone a very long path, and it is in the wrong way, wrong direction. Let us actually correct it. Bring in the gender differences and let there be reduction in the differences, okay? then this still actually gather. And you know that women actually, girls actually like pink. You know, have you heard about that?
Yes, sir. It was actually created. Girls for pink and
Yes.
boys for blue.
Yes. So what happens is it was an outcome of an experiment. Okay, it was an outcome of an experiment in consumer psychology. Actually, like it was promoted. Like Akshay Tritiya was actually suddenly last some 5-10 years back. Akshay Tritiya came in. Before that, nobody knew that there was Akshay Tritiya. So people keep on inventing, and without even thinking that we keep actually following it. Okay, so men are actually supposed to be like this. Women are supposed to be like this. Now, script 2 in education. So these are actually the kind of career choices, options that we have: science, technology, engineering, and medicine. It's called as actually STEM sciences. Have you heard about STEM subjects?
Yes, sir.
Science, technology, engineering, and medicine. And apart from that, you have this computer science, physics, engineering, then all those things: artificial intelligence and machine learning, deep learning, robotics, all those things, and biological, chemical sciences, arts, English, and music. Okay, so these are the options. Very interestingly, what happens is that who gets what education? STEM, management, and commerce. Who generally, which gender prefers STEM and management and commerce? And which gender prefers biosciences, teaching, and nursing? Where most of the people are there. Which gender is dominating these two things?
STEM management and commerce is most likely chosen by male or men, and biosciences, teaching, nursing, it's all preferred by a female. Like nursing
Right.
is supposed to be female. That kind of
I
thought
know.
has come to our mind.
All right. So, but very interestingly, Periyar University has a male nurse, you know.
Yes, sir.
Right. That is what Periyar University is. That is what Periyar University is. With a name. Okay. So, what happens is, do you think that, okay, women cannot shine in STEM?
No, sir. I think
Not like
they.
that. Not like that. Right? They can shine. But what happens is, from the way that they are raised, they are brought up, they are actually brought up to fit into certain expectations.
Yes, sir.
All right. That is the problem here. And lower education and people who are privileged, they're still actually, they have a choice. But people who are actually in the underprivileged, okay, people who are in the lower education level, right, they have a problem here. Okay, they don't even actually have any education, and most of them, the lower education and unorganized sectors, men will be more or women will be more. Lower education and unorganized sector. Domestic helps, laborers, casual laborers. Men will be there or women will be there?
I think there are more women out there
No,
doing that.
don't think. Blindly you can say. In at
I
least
think it's women. I think it's women.
women, don't think it's women. Okay, more majority of them are women, right? So this is what the status is. Then workplace, see, which I picked up from the net, the right side, traditional female jobs. Company secretary, phone operator, school teacher, okay, waitress, nurse, homemaker. These are all actually tradition for them. And hard sciences like STEM sciences, big engineering, big manufacturing, all those things are actually taken by men. To the right, you can see. And even if they want to get into science, they put them into soft sciences. You can see the middle picture. Okay, they are actually into biosciences, biotechnology, microbiology, and all those things. These kind of places, you know, Biocon, Kiran Majumdar. So what happens is that, see how we are actually beautifully having gender, what is it, specific expectations and gender specific roles, and we are nurturing children, and from starting from the play to education to work, actually we are directing them, we are setting them towards that, and they are actually not allowed to actually think this side or that side, even if they have their choices, but they are not. So men are fitter for certain jobs and skills than women. Women are delicate, tender, and unfit for hard jobs. This was actually an understanding. Okay, it is actually the reality is the other way around. Okay, things are changing, but actually long way to attain that equality. Women find employment in soft sciences, social sciences, home science, arts, and humanities, unlike men. Okay, STEM is taken by men. Okay, across the world, 86% of STEM related education, STEM related jobs are taken by men, and women are minuscule minority, not even actually quarter to what actually men are involved in. All right. Then our own data, which I picked up from the net again. See, CSIR, ICMR, ICAR, ISRO, DBT, and DST. So CSR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Indian Council for Medical Research, Indian Council for Agriculture Research, Indian Space Research Organization, Department of Biotechnology, Department of Science and Technology. See the percentage of women. And very interestingly, Tamil Nadu as a state is always a front runner when it comes to bringing in the equality. Tamil Nadu was the first state to give equal property rights between the gender. Whether you are having a boy or a girl, both of them should be having equal right in the property, parents' property. And they were the first to actually say that, okay, 30% of representation should be there in the government job for women, which has been raised to 40% now, just 1 month back. No state has this kind of a progressive outlook when it comes to alleviate the gender inequalities. It goes, you can actually tell a lot of things. Then, gender disparity, you can see this. Work and responsibility. Do you actually try to identify this in your own family or in your own friend's family or in your own relatives, that something like this? Men and women?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to work and responsibility, it is like this. And when it comes to pay and promotion, it is like this. Is there any parallel?
No,
This is very true, sir.
it's very true.
Very much. But we don't see this. This is the gravity. You cannot see that because it is all camouflaged beautifully. Okay? Right? It is for us, we have to think. Okay? Then men outshine women in all jobs. The way that men promote, women can even actually match that. Okay? Script 4, coming to our own family. What is a family? What is the purpose of the family? How does our family is structured, and who listens to whom and who runs the family? Even though it is said beautifully that it is women is actually running the family, it is said, but the most important thing is the pipeline, the lifeline of the family is money. Who controls that?
Men.
Right. See, but it is a happy family, right?
Yes.
That is the irony. That is and how many of the women have resigned, including my own family? I'm sorry to say this, my own family. My wife had to actually resign her lucrative, equally paying job since I moved from Bangalore to Salem. She has to resign. I was just seeing that. She said that, okay, very comfortably. I said that, okay, you are going, then I will actually resign and come. She didn't have any problem at all resigning. How it will be? It's a very difficult choice. Is there any case, maybe some exceptions, is there any case a man resigning his job and towing the, woman's job? A woman is actually shifting to another city or town, man resigning and following the woman?
No, I have never heard that.
That
I have
in the
seen
market.
people, women resigning their jobs and following her husband. I have never seen it. If she have to suffer, she will suffer alone. No man will accompany her. She will have to suffer alone in a different city for job.
Yes, but what happens is I have actually seen some cases.
But sir, can I say a different?
Please.
Yeah. So I have seen many, because if one's wife is working in abroad, the man is all ready to go abroad with her, leaving all his job.
Okay.
So I have seen many cases like that.
Right. So that are actually there. But when the wife actually gets a government job and moves, men are actually in a private job, then they will resign and go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because actually it all depends on the money. Okay, how much steady income that we are actually getting. Whoever is actually, but very rare cases in our mindset, in our cultured traditional mindset, those exceptions cannot be considered as examples. Okay, so there are actually something, right? Right, somebody is actually talking there. Can somebody mute that? In 5 minutes, I'll just wind up. Is it time for me? Yeah. Somebody has to unmute. Yeah. Thank you. And the gender responsibilities, if you see, when a tiger comes, both men and women run away. But when it comes to household chores, the chore fellow will run away. Have you seen this? Including my own house. Okay. Hello?
Yes, sir. I think women are more responsible when it comes to saving others than men.
Yeah. See, that is how they have been raised. Right? They have been raised, brought up like that. Okay. Fit in this. Okay. And I'm trying to change. I'm changing. The more actually I realize, the more change. And it is possible to change. It is possible to change. It is not that impossible to change. And the script 5, social and cultural conformity. I just run through it. Okay. Games for girls and boys. See, the name of maintaining social order. We are doing all these things. All the pictures actually say is the subtle gravity, the inequality or inequality. Games for girls and boys, socially perfect man and woman. Okay, if you have to be a perfect woman, if you have to be a perfect man, then you have to be like this, like this, like this. Then family and relationships, hierarchies, rigid structures and religions, prayers, customs, stories and mythology, race, clan, community, caste, access to health and hygiene, marriage, dowry, and other rituals or functions, festivals, ceremonies, and celebrations, divine songs promoting patriarchy. One thing which I actually grew up is Talivaram Vendi Nindren Tayama. Okay, so in my own religion, so the woman is actually pleading to the God that her husband have to be saved. Okay, but I have not heard yet to hear a song where man is actually singing a song to save his wife. Okay, yet to hear. So these are the things that if you see, you can see that inequality. Okay, the gender inequality in all these things. And masculine, this is how it is actually portrayed, and it is actually built also. That feminine means like this, man will be like this. That is strong, weak, independent, dependent, assertive, non-assertive, courage, fear, dominating, modest, rude, polite, stubborn, accommodating. Physical looks don't matter. Physical looks alone matters. Okay, they want only beautiful bride and they don't want an intelligent bride. And the character is compromised. Character is everything. For men, there is no character. Character loose, it's okay. But for women, they should be whatever. Okay, then they think that consequences of all these man-made blunders is, but he thinks that he has made wonders. But actually, this is what has happened. Definitely not encouraging an equal society for women. When the society is actually not equal, then how can we have a mental health, which is actually a common definition? It's unequal. Women have self-efficacy doubts, self-doubts. Okay, the problem that whether they will be able to do it or not. And see, this is one thing which I mentioned, that it was actually one shocking thing. That day, the whole day, I was actually very upset reading that, because her husband died and she couldn't actually run the family because nobody supported her. Nobody supported her. 2 young daughters, very, very young daughters. She killed them and she died. And it is actually considered to be a very traditional family, traditional community, nice community, everything. But they couldn't actually do that, support her. But had it actually been a woman actually died, the man would have actually, irrespective of whether he is having a child or not, he would have actually, become a new bridegroom. Do you agree that? Men getting married after losing their wife?
Yes, sir.
But actually, how much of restrictions for women?
There is no restriction. I think that in the traditional society, there was no restriction among these things. Only women have restriction. Even if you are a widow, you can't marry a person.
Right.
It just come to nowadays also that if you married immediately, they will point her fingers at her. They won't hear her out.
Yes, this is exactly what. And Periyar stood for remarriage of widow, okay, widow and widowers. He actually promoted equality, that women should actually get remarried. He promoted that, Periyar, okay. And very sad, this news really upset me. Then, if you are living out of the script, this is what happens. It is all there, stuck. If you are living, any woman is living out of the script, these are the things that happens. Taunting and harassing, marital rape, rape or marital rape, coercion, acid throwing, choking, beating, genital mutilation, disfigurement, using technology to control or spy the partner, or actually anybody who was actually in the relationship. Have you seen this in news happening?
Yes, sir.
This is because these are the people who tried to live out of the scripts. This is very dangerous. Our society is going that way. And I'm raising, because see this photo, it says that I'm raising because 66 women are raped every day in India. And very interestingly, in the whole world, the more of women God is here. Something we have to think about the gravity. I'm talking about what gravity, you know that. And why these scripts are inequality? It suits one gender created by men and patriarchy society. Right? However, we try to cover it up. This is what hard reality is. And this is how the model is, that how men actually they take different forms and different routes to suppress. Religious paradox, gendered stereotypes, community caste system. They actually either do it in a soft cell, like motivating and rewarding good behaviors according to confirmed social traditions, or demotivating or punishing if you are actually taking any step outside the scripts. Only women can help women. And most of the European countries and in Australia, 1960s were the years, lots of women rights movement actually happened. And in most of the European countries, men and women are almost, the gender gap is not as so blatantly seen as in the underdeveloped and developing countries. So developed countries, the gap is there, but the gap is less. But for a country which is actually ever developing, like India and the developing countries, the gap is very huge and vast. And every day it is actually, the gap keeps filling and it's becoming wider and wider. Only women can help women. Sensitization of gender, try to understand gender differences, try to predict the negative consequences of gender differences, try to modify the thinking process. Thinking process is very important. Control the unfair and unjust treatment of one gender. And human nature, all of them are equal. There is no special privilege that you are born as a man or born as a woman. All are equal. Without one, another will not survive. That is simple understanding that we have to drill in the heads of both the people. And uncage yourself and your gender. If you have to have a mental health as it means to one gender, the other gender also have to have the same kind of mental health. These are the things that is actually suggested. Bring in personal change, dare to think the real reasons, customs and practices. Bring in change the way family thinks and works. Bring in that social change from home. We would have gone through that, the gender differences. I actually see that how my sister was actually raised by my mother, by my grandmother. But I don't actually allow that kind of nonsense practice to my own children. I will not do that because I'm getting more aware of things. So I'm stopping there. It is okay that I have been a victim of that, but not required that I have to actually raise my child, whether it is a boy or a girl, to raise that, to respect the other gender. That is more important. That is actually the key. Start from the family with a single objective to narrow the gender gap. Unless it starts from the family, from our own family, then this problem will never be solved. And do you think that it is possible to bring in the gap, bring down the gap?
Yes, sir, it's possible.
It's possible. And we have to work on it. We have to think, what is the projected one and what is the gravity? Right? So if you understand the gravity, then things will change. and hope that change will begin here. We will start thinking, not simply getting distracted by other things. It has to change. Okay? And with this, I come to the conclusion of this. I conclude the session. The conclusion is this very interesting by Gloria Steinem. It is possible that men can live and women also can live. And one is required for another, that is not necessarily like this. Okay, so you have any doubts? So I have come to concluded my session. I have actually taken 1 hour exactly. Any doubts, any things that you want to discuss, people? Anything that you want to say? Hello, are you people there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you are there. Okay, right.
So I want to ask if the gender difference come from the way we are raised, whereas women are more likely to be pushed their responsibility. You're a sister, you're a mother, you're a girl. They never, you're a daughter. But I never had seen a man hear these things. You're a husband, you're a son, you're a brother, you're a yes. I think the society pushed the responsibility to women to suppress her. Is it true?
Absolutely, because traditions are always actually kept on the shoulders of women. You know what? When it comes to tradition, who has to supposed to do all the things? You just see any festival coming, who's running around?
I think it's more or less women. Yeah, it's women, not more or less. It's women.
all religious festival. Because the responsibility of actually taking the so-called culture, the tradition, has to be transformed to another woman, another girl. Okay, so it is handed over to them. And men will actually direct and enjoy the feast and go.
But in that also, when it comes to the main aarti, more or less, I have seen it. First, they will expect a boy or a successor of the family to do that.
Yes.
I have seen it in various things. I have not seen it in my home, but
Right.
I have seen it in many places.
Yeah, it always there. They will only actually, because they will be there in the simple thing. Yeah, you just go where the road is actually repair work is happening. They will actually put the board, men at work. Have you seen that? Very interesting.
Yeah.
Men at work. As if
Yes.
women are not working. Men will rarely work, but when they work, they will put a board. It is always the prominence is always given to the men. But the society, it happens only in the patriarchal society. See, there are lots of actually what is a matriarchal society. Like even in Bhutan, you see that matriarchal society. Even in Ladakh, you can see the what is a matriarchal society where women are actually given priorities. And even in actually some of the communities in Kerala also, women are given priority, right? So what I'm actually trying to say is that only in the patriarchal society this kind of a problem exists, where actually they give undue privilege to one gender over the other at the cost of other. There is no harm in actually celebrating both the gender, treating both the gender equal. But giving privilege to one gender over the other, there is actually a problem. If you call ourselves as actually moved from uncivilized to civilized society, then that means there should not be any this inequality. Right. And
Yes, sir.
the other day in qualitative research workshop, those two resource people were telling, I was actually thinking, it made me to think that when the child falls sick, when the child is falling sick, in South, we are actually much more progressed, I would say. The mother of the child does not have to ask her husband or actually father-in-law to take the child to the hospital. They take the child to the hospital, right? But in North
Yes.
India, their studies, particularly in UP, Bihar, then MP, Jharkhand, even if the child is having fever for days together, the mother cannot take the mother of that child cannot take decisions. She has to look for her husband's consent or actually father-in-law's consent. That is the saddest thing that can actually ever happen. That is the reason why there is actually so much of what is a child mortality rate. I'm not talking about, it was a research which was actually done by the NGO. There was 2 research people were sharing that, and some of the students would have heard that, listened to that, right?
Yes, sir.
How disturbing it is. Where do we keep? We think that, okay, so since actually everything is fine in front of us, it doesn't mean that everything is fine in front of us. In front of us, it is fine. That's it. In our family, in our community, or actually in the small circle that we are living in, is fine. But beyond majority, how it suffer, we suffer. That is the reason why the World Health Organization, only WHO only has come up with an unequal world. Mental health in an unequal world. They have started realizing that, we wanted to have an equal world, but it is actually the other way. The reality is different. It's an unequal. The division has actually become much, much bigger and more complex to address. That is the reason why they would have come up with this, right? The theme. Okay, people, any other thing that, any other points or observations?
So I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So I've seen many men, when women raise their voice against this, like feminists, they try to dominate them and suppress them. Why do you raise voice? And they don't understand that for men that there is no need of manism, but for women there is a need of feminism. So there it starts. But still men suppress women. So like what can we do to make them understand that there is a need of feminism in the first place?
Yeah, so this is actually the difference between the one that is actually getting hunted and another one is going for a hunt. There is a need for actually women is actually like a life and death issue. For them, it is only cheerleading group. All right. So not many men will be able to understand this. It is actually, unless, that's what I said, that it has to start from the family, or it has to take lots of time to understand this. Because I never actually thought of gender differences as when I was actually in Bangalore. I was actually not thinking much. After coming here, then I'm seeing everything slowly. I'm trying to read. I'm trying to see all child marriages, sexual abuses, violence, and all those things. Actually, slowly, small incidences made me to think about the gender differences and how the gender is stacked against women. The gender equality, or actually the gender privilege, is actually very unjustifiably stacked against women. Then I actually started reading, and I have actually done a couple of work also in this. So what I'm actually saying is here that it requires lots of patience for women to make men understand. And unless actually they themselves actually realize that insight actually dawns in their head, unless it occurs in their head, it will be very difficult for women to explain to men. They should have actually seen their own sisters or mother or somebody who's very close to them suffering because of this. Then they will actually get the insight, and they might actually realize it by just taking out a procession, or actually joining in a movement or something. That is not enough for them. So women have to understand that it takes a long time for the men to understand, because it is not a men's problem. Men are the problem here. Right.
Right, sir. Yeah, thank you.
So any observations?
Hi, sir. First of all, thank you so much for this wonderful section. We'll cherish this forever. And my question is, what is one thing I can do to make a positive impact on gender equality at our own organization? Can you suggest?
Yeah, you as actually a sister, as actually a daughter, as actually to be, if you're not yet married, to as a wife, to be wife, or actually to be mother. Bring in actually, rationality in how roles are played, how different roles are played. Don't go and actually get stuck in the stereotypical roles. Slowly, you talk out, you discuss, then you make people realize that how both are actually equal. See, there are different roles in running the family. There are different roles are running in the family. Very unfortunately, what we have take my own family, that washing the dishes, doing the clothes, then cleaning the house, and so many things are there. And till I actually got into this kind of a thought, I always actually gendered the roles, gender the jobs. These jobs are meant for my wife or to my mother, to my sister. I will not move a finger in that. Cleaning is not my area. Dirtying the place is my role. That is what actually the thought is. So their role-wise, the job-wise or the task-wise, there is no task men or women task. There are only tasks. They are all neutral tasks. Right? Starting from the thing which is very observable and what we see. So both of them actually can equally do that. So many of the, of late, many of the new parents, they have actually, particularly women, they have actually started raising boys in such a way that to be sensitive towards other gender also. They treat both the genders equally, or they actually give insight to the boys that, okay, so you should be like this and you are no superior than a girl. So that kind of actually equality in raising the kids or actually talking out and actually settling things at home, you can actually do that. Slowly, things will actually, it's actually a lifelong process. It's not actually overnight things can happen. In each and everything task that we do, there is a gravity. And that gravity has to be understood. And what can be done appropriately, that needs to be done. That gravity, you know what is the gravity? The inequality, gender inequality. So you have to sit and think. So men can be boys or men can be taught to clean the house, do the home, all the things and whatever that is required to do. Women also can be actually raised in such a way that they are getting given enough opportunities, like men, right? Like boys. So to allow them to pursue what they actually wanted to pursue. So it's actually a long process, and every step that we do, everything that we do, there is an opportunity, and you can identify that if you sit and think, and you can actually rectify on your own.
Okay, sir.
Right?
Thank you so much.
Sir.
Yeah. Done?
Sir, எனக்கு ஒரு டவுட் சார்.
சொல்லுப்பா.
இப்போ நான் நிறைய இடத்துல நான் பார்த்தது என்னதான் சார், இப்போ சின்ன வயசுல எல்லாம் சேர்ந்து விளையாட எல்லாம் பண்றாங்க சார். மேபி இப்போ பயாலஜிக்கல் சேஞ்சஸ் ஆன பிறகு சார், இப்போ பையனா சரி பொண்ணா சரி பயாலஜிக்கல் சேஞ்சஸ் ஆன பிறகு பேரண்ட்ஸ் அண்ட் என்வாயன்மெண்ட் அவங்க ரெண்டு பேர்த்தையும் தனி இப்போ பிரிச்சுறாங்க சார். இப்போ மேபி சொல்றப்ப அவங்களே பிரிக்கிறாங்க. இப்போ என்வாயன்மெண்ட்லயும் பேரண்ட்ஸ் ஃபேமிலியிலும் அவங்க பிரிச்சிடுறாங்க சார்.
அதுதான் ரொம்ப இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங்.
இன்னொரு கேள்வி என்ன தெரியுமா சார், இப்போ சமுதாயத்துல இப்போ பெண் விதவை ஆயிட்டாலும் என்னமோ ஆனாலும் அவங்க சில போன மாசத்துல எங்க வீட்டுல ஒரு மேரேஜ் நடந்துச்சு சார். மேபி எங்க மாமா இறந்துட்டாங்க. அவங்க பொண்ணு கல்யாணத்துக்கு நிக்க முடியல அவங்களால. இது நிறைய நடக்குது சார். அது இப்போ அதான் உண்மை சார். இது மாதிரி நடக்கிறது எப்படி சார் சொல்லி புரிய வைக்க முடியும்? இப்போ பயாலஜிக்கல் சேஞ்சஸ் ஆனோடனே பசங்க பொண்ணுங்களை ஃபேமிலி என்வாயன்மெண்ட் பிரிச்சிடுறாங்க. அவங்க பிரியறது இல்ல சார், இவங்க சொல்லியே பாதி பேர்த்து பிரிச்சிடுறாங்க.
இது ஒரு அவேர்னஸ் கிரியேட் பண்ணா போதும், பிரிக்கணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லை. ஆனா ஒரு அவேர்னஸ் கிரியேட் பண்ணா போதும். ஏன்னு கேட்டா அதை பிரிச்சு பாக்குறதுனாலயே தான் இந்த பிரச்சனையே வருது. பிரச்சனை எப்ப வருதுன்னா பிரிச்சு பாக்குறதுனாலதான் பிரச்சனை வருது. அவங்க ரெண்டு பேரும் இது நார்மலா நேச்சுரல் நடக்கிறது தானே.
எஸ் சார்.
அதை ஏற்றுக்கொள்ளக்கூடிய அந்த ஃபேமிலி மெம்பர்ஸ் ஏத்துக்கிட்டாங்கன்னா அது பிரச்சனை இருக்காது. இது நார்மலா தானே. இது என்னமோ புதுசா நடக்கிற மாதிரி இவங்க கொண்டு செயற்கையா ஒரு இதை திணிக்கும் பொழுது நீங்க பிரிக்கும் போது பாருங்க ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா ப்ராப்ளம் வருது. இன்னும் நிறைய இடத்துல நம்ம கவுன்சிலிங்ல நம்மகிட்டே கவுன்சிலிங் வர்றாங்க. அவங்க பார்க்கும்போது என்னன்னா இந்த கேர்ள்ஸ் ஸ்கூலு பாய்ஸ் ஸ்கூலுன்னு தனியா பிரிக்கிறாங்க பாரு, அங்க வருது பிரச்சனை.
எஸ் சார்.
நிறைய மேரிட்டல் கான்ஃபிளிக்ட் டிவோர்ஸ் எல்லாம் ஆகுறது பாருங்க. கேர்ள்ஸ் கேர்ள்ஸ் ஸ்கூல்லயே படிச்சு போட்டு வர்ற பொண்ணுங்க they find it very difficult to adjust with the husband.
எஸ் சார்.
ஏன்னா இவங்க நினைச்சிட்டு இருக்கிறாங்க பெண்ணை பொண்ணுக்கு போட காலேஜ்லயே படிச்சுக்கலாம், பொண்ணு ஸ்கூல்லயே அனுப்பிச்சுக்கலாம். அப்படின்னா அவங்களுக்கு என்னன்னா அந்த பசங்களோட பழகிறது, அவங்க எப்படி பிஹேவ் பண்ணுவாங்க, அவங்கள எப்படி நம்ம இது பண்ணிடுறது அப்படிங்கறதெல்லாம் தெரியாம அந்த வாய்ப்புகளே இல்லாம வரும்போது திடீர்னு கல்யாணம் பண்ணி வச்சுக்கிட்டோம்னா உடனே பெரிய அட்ஜஸ்ட்மெண்ட் பண்ண வேண்டியதா இருக்கு. அப்போ அவங்களால வந்துட்டு
Yes, sir.
அட்ஜஸ்ட்மெண்ட் பண்ண முடியறது இல்லை. புரியுதா?
Yes, sir.
நிறைய வந்துட்டு வருது. அதனால நம்ம என்ன பண்ணணும் as a psychologist, people who are actually into the counseling field, we have to see to it that we should be first gender sensitive.
Yes, sir.
சரியா? நம்ம வந்துட்டு என்னன்னா சமமா அவங்கள பாவிக்கணும். அப்ப என்னென்னலாம் பண்ண முடியுமோ அதெல்லாம் வந்துட்டு சொல்லி புரிய வைக்கணும். ஆனா நம்ம வந்துட்டு முக்கியமா தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும், ஒவ்வொரு செயலும் நம்ம பண்றதுல பார்த்தோம்னா ஆணாதிக்கம்னு ஒண்ணு இருந்துகிட்டே இருக்குது. புரியுதா? அந்த ஆணாதிக்கத்தை வந்துட்டு கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா வந்துட்டு குறைக்கிறது எப்படி? பெண்களை தன்னம்பிக்கையை வந்துட்டு எப்படி அதிகமா வந்துட்டு ஏற்படுத்தலாம்? தன்னம்பிக்கையை வந்துட்டு அவங்களுக்கு நிறைய செல்ஃப் டவுட் இருந்துகிட்டே இருக்கும். கிளாஸ்லயே பாரு, கிளாஸ்லயே பாத்தீங்கன்னா தெரியும், பெண்கள் வந்துட்டு பின்தங்கியே போவாங்க. இது வந்துட்டு நடக்கக்கூடிய விஷயம். சோ அதை வந்துட்டு புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு நம்ம கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா அதை வந்துட்டு பாலியல் சமன்பாடுன்னு சொல்றோம் இல்லையா, ஜெண்டர் ஈக்குவாலிட்டி, அதை நோக்கி நம்ம நகர்த்தணும். இது ஒரு பெரிய ப்ராசஸ். இப்போ ஒன்றும் இல்லை, இப்போ எங்கள் கம்யூனிட்டியில் வந்துட்டு பார்த்தோம்னா எங்க அப்பா இறந்தாரு. மை ஃபாதர் ஆக்சுவலி பாஸ்ட் அவே அண்ட் we actually buried him. But what happens is in our community, the rituals and traditions are that the wife should not go to the burial ground. So we cannot actually take women will be there actually stopped, wives will be stopped at the family, at the house only, and the dead body will be taken to the the burial ground. Women should not accompany that. But I said, no, nothing doing, because she did not know where actually, how this man was actually her man who lived for actually 40 years, 50 years. They should actually know where this man was actually buried. At least she should actually get a closure of her relationship. Oh, this is the place my husband has been buried. So what I said, nothing doing. People, in spite of actually relatives saying, I actually said that, put it across firmly that no, she has to get a complete closure that her own partner was actually buried in this place. So I said that I am taking my mother along with me. Then nobody actually said anything, because they tried to convince it is actually a tradition. Idudha valakom, idudha more, this is how it is always done. I said that, okay, keep all the traditions apart. Now my mother actually wants to know that where this man was actually buried, will be buried, so that she can peacefully come back and sit and actually sleep. Right? So I took her and she came. She was just waiting for that opportunity. So she came, and actually in front of her only we buried my father's dead body. We buried and we all cried and all those things happened. But actually she was part of that in the burial ground. After that she came. Okay, so that is very important. Slowly we have to put it at that. Then what does the education mean? Wherever it is possible, try to actually bring in that kind of a change. Try to understand. If you are actually feeling that there are certain rituals or certain traditions which is actually good, you hold on to it. Nobody is actually saying no to it. Everybody have their right to அவங்களுக்கு என்னென்ன உரிமை இருக்கு, அவங்களோட இதை நம்பிக்கைகளை வச்சுக்கிறதுக்கு உரிமை இருக்கு. Let them actually keep. But if that actually belief, the gender belief is actually oppressing one gender, then that is where we have to be little alert and we have to do something about it. Right. So,
thank you, sir.
Try பண்ண வேண்டியதுதான். We'll try. At least we try. Maybe 5 years, 10 years, or 50 years, 100 years down the line, both the gender will be actually maybe equal. Right. Where it has to be started, and it's already started. So many people have brought in so much of changes. That is the kind of reason that why in South India women are actually better placed than in North India. Right.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. Okay, Aima, done?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So
now Teja will be taken.
All right.
Thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking address. I now call on Hibbasis to deliver the word of thanks for the webinar. Basis?
Yeah, but we are.
Sorry, sir, I forgot to unmute.
Right.
Okay. Good morning, all. Respected Head of the Department of Psychology, Dr. S. Kadiravan, Faculty Coordinator, Dr. D.V. Nithyanandan, Professor Venkatachalam, Assistant Professors, Dr. J. Parameshri, Dr. K. N. Jayakumar, and Dr. N. Selvaraj, and other professionals and participants, and my dear friends. I hope you all have enjoyed this informative session done by Dr. K. N. Jayakumar on the topic mental health in an unequally gendered space. It is my honor and privilege now to give a vote of thanks to all those who have assembled here. First, I would like to give a thank to Dr. K. N. Jayakumar, sir, for giving such a valuable and interactive session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so
And
much. All
I
the
would
best
like
to all of you.
And I would like to thank all our teachers for making such an effort to conduct this program even on their weekends. This would be impossible without your support. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the participants who have been actively attending this session. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Akka. I request the participants to fill the feedback form that's sent through the chat box now.